like that story so much, I'll tell you another. This is a story about a game. It's a game called Three-Card Monty. Now, some of you may have seen the Monty. You may have even played it. If you played it, then you know that it's not you against the cards, but you against the man who's dealing the game. It's where you try and find the red queen as it's mixed with the two black aces. Now, you've got to watch out for not the cards, but the man who's dealing the game, because the most interesting time I ever saw this game was dealt by a guy on the south side of Chicago, down on Maxwell Street. His name was Cleveland Joe. And I only saw him twice, but I'll always remember him as the guy who played Three-Card Monty with 4 cards. He called his little game of looky-loo, 3 for me and 1 for you. Finding the red queen as it's mixed with 3 black aces is a tough rod to beat. And so, of course, the payoff was always bigger. But old Joe, he was always sly. He says, well, there was always some joker in the audience who would say, excuse me, sir, but isn't that game supposed to be played with 3 cards instead of 4? Old Joe was always happy to oblige. He says, well, you can play it with 4, you can play it with 3. Just keep your eye on the little red queen. Hey, diddle diddle, she's the one in the middle. And he'd do his fancy little shuffle, and he said, where is the lady now? And people would bet on where they thought the queen was. But you see, it didn't matter which card they chose, because this guy was good. He was real good. In fact, you might even say he was too good. You see, he was cheating. Now, I watched him all afternoon. I figured out what he was doing. He would wait for somebody to say, isn't that game supposed to be played with 3 cards instead of 4? And he was always happy to oblige. He says, well, you can play it with 4, you can play it with 3. Just keep your eye on the little red queen. Hey, diddle diddle, she's the one in the middle. And when he did his fancy little shuffle, he made a move like this. Did you see it the first time I did it? See, that's the switch. That's how it's done. Because after he makes his move like that, it doesn't matter which card you pick, because by that time the queen is no longer in his hands. By that time the queen is in his coat. So I figured I had this game all busted out. I went home and I gathered up all the cash I could lay my hands on. I went back down to Maxwell Street. This is before they leveled it and made it into university. And I snuck into the crowd, and as soon as he started, I walked up to him and I said, sir, isn't that game supposed to be played with 3 cards instead of 4? Old Joey just looked at me and he smiled. He says, well, you can play it with 4, you can play it with 3. Just keep your eye on the little red queen. Get back up there. Hey, diddle diddle, she's the one in the middle. And he did his fancy little shuffle, and he said, where is the lady now? Well, he made his move, so I made mine. I stepped up to the table, I laid my money down, and I said, the queen is in your coat. Old Joey just looked at me and he smiled. And I learned 3 things that day. I learned that you never play cards with a man named after a city. That you never try and con a con man. And that a fool and his money are likely to get together in the first place.